Hi students, this is a new YouTube channel SNB Maths class. Through this channel, I would like to teach the students of PUC taking the entire syllabus, and this is my first lesson. In the second PUC, totally there are 13 chapters. In the first lesson, let me give you a brief idea about the syllabus and how I go about it. The first chapter is relations and functions. This is the first chapter. Second chapter is inverse trigonometric functions. And the third chapter is matrices. Fourth one is determinants. Fifth one is continuity and differentiability. This is the fifth one. Sixth one is application of derivatives. Then seventh one is integrals. Eighth one is application of integrals. Ninth one is differential equation. 10th one is vectors. 11th one 3D geometry. Then 12th one is probability, and the last 13th one is LPP. The purpose of writing these three chapters is this. If you look at this list, these two together, they are independent units. That means you can study them without the help of other branches, other chapters. So they are independent. And but among them they are related. Matrix and determinant, they are together actually. Similarly, if you take vector and 3D, these two branches, they do not require much knowledge of other branches. Of course, some basic concepts of trigonometry and other things are required. So these are the two. If you take the remaining, for example, chapter number 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, here to study this inverse trigonometric function, of course, you should have the knowledge of trigonometry which you have studied first year. But the knowledge of this chapter is also required. So they are in a way related. And coming to this continuity application of derivatives, especially for continuity, the proper understanding of function is necessary. Okay. Similarly, when you take this 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all these five chapters, they are actually, you should study them together. They are actually one unit. For example, if you want to study application of derivatives, thorough knowledge of differentiation is required. Then, if you want to understand the integration without the knowledge of differentiation, you cannot study integration. So it is a must. Similarly, application of integration means the knowledge of integration is necessary here. And coming to differential equation, this requires the knowledge of differentiation and the knowledge of integration both. Therefore, these five chapters are together. And of course, this probability is an independent chapter. It's an independent chapter. LPP is also an independent chapter. So this is one thing. Therefore, whenever you are preparing for your test or examination or whatever it may be, you must always, once you complete the syllabus, you must always study them together so that it is easy to understand and comprehend. So that is one thing. Second one is that whenever you want to study any chapter, you require the knowledge of first PUC. For example, you take relations functions. You have already started studying relations functions in the first PUC, second chapter, relations and functions. Here what we are doing is continuation of the same thing further. Inverse trigonometric function. A thorough knowledge of first PUC trigonometric functions is a must for understanding inverse trigonometric functions. Of course, these two chapters are independent. Here also, continuity and differentiability when you want to study, concept of limits and derivatives which you have studied first year, that is a must. That is the beginning thing. Without that you can't understand anything here. Of course, application of derivatives means a thorough understanding of differentiation is a must. Then only you can use this one. So similarly, I have already told you how integration requires differentiation, etc. Therefore, when you are planning for your study, please bear in mind these things. This is one thing. Now, as far as our YouTube presentation is concerned, let me give you an idea how I am going to present my lesson through video lectures. See here, if you take any chapter, so my lecture will be consisting of two separate types of lectures. One is called main lecture. This I will call ML. So short for ML means main lecture. The second one is called supplementary. So this is SL. I will call it shortly SL. What is the difference, In the main lecture, in every chapter, I will be discussing the concepts first, because once the concepts are clear, solving problem will not be a challenging thing for any student. Therefore, here what I do is 1, 2, 3. For example, ML1, ML2, ML3, etc. In the sequential order, I will upload the lessons. So, if you understand this one, this becomes very simple. Supplementary lesson, what I do is, here also it is SL1, SL2, SL3, etc. Here I will be taking the problems which are given in the exercise and also worked out problems. Of course, here also I will do, but here it is minimum. Major focus on this main lecture is to clarify the concepts. Once you clarify the concepts, then you should go about working the questions, solving the questions and developing the skill. So here this is a must. So you should go in the sequential order. So first grasp the topic. That's the first thing. Then slowly you take up this and then keep on revising, so that at the end of one chapter you will be thorough with this. And this scheme or planning will be followed all throughout in the 13 chapters. And I will be uploading my lesson regularly. So this is one thing. Second one is, after completing all the 13 chapters, there is one exam corner, where I will give you the idea about exam question paper pattern, then how to present our answer. For example, sometimes students know the answer, but they don't know how to write it. So they give very lengthy answer for even 1 mark question. Therefore, all those things will be discussed here. So this is one full course for 1 full year for you. And today in the first lesson, let me start the first chapter. So the first chapter is relations and functions. This is the first chapter. And remember, this was the same chapter last year. It was second, because we started with sets. Then we went to relations and functions. So here we are continuing relations and functions. In the beginning, let me give you what is there in this chapter. Actually, there are only 3 important concepts which are discussed here. One is relation, which you have studied last year. Relations. Same thing we are continuing. Second one is functions. Same thing, continuation of the functions we studied last year. Here, binary operation. So this is of course a new concept which you have to study. These two are actually already started. We are going further. Here in this branch, that is relations, we are talking about 3 main types. that we are going to introduce today. If time permits, I will introduce this one in the present lecture. If not, in the next lecture. Types. So then we will work out the examples. So this is a thing. Here also same thing. There are different types of functions. Once again, types. Here there are three. Here also there are actually two types. There are many. So types of functions. And then we will work out the questions. Therefore, in my scheme of presentation of the lecture, what I do is first I will build the concept with simple and easy examples in all the concepts. Then once we go here, we will discuss these things in detail in the supplementary lectures. So this is the thing. And for the sake of making it convenient for the students, I will be putting all these things in different playlists so that you can go through that and then you can study them. So it becomes a complete and comprehensive package, and it will definitely help you to prepare in a better way. So now let me start the first concept, relations. Relations. So let us go back to our first PUC where we started relations. Okay. Now you take any set A, for example 1, 2, 3. Take another set B, let us say x, y. Then the first concept which we studied was ordered pair. Ordered pair. That means you can take one element, say for example 1 from the first set. You can take one element from the second, then you can put them in a bracket. Ordered pair means this is the first element, this is the second element. First element and second element. Therefore, it is called ordered pair. Pair means two. Order means the order of occurrence of the element is also fixed. One comes from the first set, second one comes from the second set. So this is called ordered pair. Then suppose you take all such ordered pairs, all the possible. For example, from here you have to take the first element, from here you have to take the second element. I can make, for example, 1x, 1y, then 2x, then 2y, 3x, 3x, and 3y. Now, if you put them inside the bracket, this is a set and we called it as A cross B. This is Cartesian product or cross product. This much we have studied. Then taking a subset from this one, we define the relation. What is relation? This also we studied last year. You take sum of the elements of this one. Of course, you have to put comma here. This is the convention. Like this. Let me take, for example, 1x, then 2y, then 3z. Sorry, 3y. Z is not there. So this is a subset. This is a subset of this set. So what is the meaning of relation? Relation R is a subset of A cross B. So this is the meaning of relation. This we studied. Then if you take the first element here, so here domain, this is called the domain 1, 2 and 3. This is not ordered pair. The set of the first elements, this is called the domain of the relation. This also we studied. And range is actually, it is the set of the second element, x and y. So these are the things we studied last year, and this knowledge is required to continue further. Therefore, I am presenting once again. Then we studied two important or two extreme cases. For example, you take any set A cross B, that is cross product. From this you take a set R, and this subset, this is the subset of A cross B. This is called the relation. That is our definition. Now last year in first chapter set you have studied that any given set A is a subset of itself. A set is a subset of itself. Therefore, this A cross B is also a subset of A cross B. Hence, by definition, this is also a relation. And this relation is called universal relation. Universal relation. Then we also know that pi is the subset of any other set. Therefore, it should be the subset of A cross B also. So this is also a relation because any subset of A cross B is a relation. So pi is a subset, therefore it is also relation. This is called empty relation. Empty relation. So this is the thing. In your textbook, present textbook, second year, they have given very interesting examples on empty relation and universal relation. Let me take for example, say S is the set of students in a boys school. Boys school. That means in this school there are no girls, only boys are admitted. Suppose I define the relation R equal to set of all element AB such that A is sister of B. A is sister of B. Then since the school itself is boys school, there cannot be any girl here. So A is sister of B. This set cannot have any element. That means this should be empty. So this is an example of empty relation. Like this you can give your own example for empty relation. Then how to define universal or how to give an example of universal relation. For example, let us take a set A which consists of set of students of your school. Now, suppose I write this relation R equal to ordered pair xy. That means a student x is related to y if difference between heights of x and y is less than 3 meter. Definitely every student is related to every other student because you take any two students, difference of their heights cannot be more than 3 meter. So this is universal because here x is also related to x because the difference between their height is 0. X is related to y, everything, any other student you take. Therefore, this is nothing but A cross A only. So this type of example is called universal relation. So these are the two types of relations we actually studied last year. But to begin with, I have given you just to have an idea. This is the thing. So let me conclude what I have said so far regarding the relation. Relation is nothing but it is a subset of cross product. Then domain, first element is called domain, set of first element. Set of second element of the relation is called range. Then universal relation, that is the biggest relation we can say. Empty relation is the smallest relation. Is a thing. Then we also studied one more concept which is very necessary for this year's study. You take any set A, then definitely we can make A cross A. That means Cartesian product of A only with A. Now, if you take a subset of this A cross A, this is also a relation. But in the previous case, when you take A cross B, we call R is a relation from A to B. That means from A to B, that is the relation. But when you say R is a subset of A cross A, we call it as relation in A. Please note, this is the word we are using. We don't normally call relation from A to A. It is relation in A. This one thing, very clear understanding of this is necessary. Second one is, when we are studying reflexive, symmetric, transitive relation, those are the types actually we are going to study now. we are talking only about this type of relation in A only. So this is the thing. So this is what we studied up to last year. Now let me start our present journey with the types of relations. Types of relations. So this is the thing. So first let me give you an idea how many different types are there. Then we shall study one by one. The first one is called reflexive relation. Reflexive. This is first one. Second one is called symmetric. Symmetric. Third one is called transitive. So these are the three types of relations we are studying. And if a given relation is all these three, this is called equivalence relation. So equivalence relation. That means a relation which is reflexive, symmetric and transitive, that is called equivalence relation. Only this much we are studying under relation. And then we are working out the questions. We are deciding, for example, whether the given relation is reflexive, whether it is symmetric, whether it is transitive. Sometimes show that it is reflexive, show that it is transitive, all such types of problems. But basic concept which we have to understand is only last year's relation concept we have to continue. Then these three types, putting all of them together, equivalence relation. So these are the things we have to bear in mind. Now let me introduce the first concept, that is reflexive relation. Reflexive relation. It is very simple relation. Therefore, I don't think I have to give an example first and then give. Let me give the definition only directly. So definition is this: a relation are in A. As I told you, we are talking about the relation in A only. So is reflexive if for every x belonging to A, x must be in R. So this is the condition. For example, let me take, say, A equal to 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then I need not write A cross A. I will directly write the relation R. Say, for example, I will write 1, 1 is there. Then say 2, 2 is there. Say 2, 1 and 3, 3. This is reflexive because look at the definition. Whenever x is in A, x must be in R. So check. 1 is here, 1, 1 is here. 2 is here, 2, 2 is here. 3 is here, 3, 3 is here. Now you may have one small doubt here. Sir, 2, 1 is there, what to do? Don't worry. This condition says whenever x is there, x must be there. That's all. So don't ask whether other types of elements are there. That is not our concern. So this is reflexive. Now suppose I take another relation R1. If I write 1, 1, 2, 2, then 1, 2. So definitely it is not reflexive because 3 is here, but 3, 3 is not found here. Therefore, it is not reflexive. Therefore, the concept of reflexive relation is very, very simple. What you have to do is, you have to take every element in A, then you have to check whether this element xx is in R. If it is there for all elements, it is reflexive. Otherwise, it is not reflexive. So, this is the meaning of reflexive relation. Then let me introduce the concept of symmetric relation also. Second one, symmetric relation. So the definition is this. See, always this definition begins with this sentence actually. A relation R in A is symmetric if xy belonging to R implies yx belongs to R. That means whenever xy ordered pair is there in the relation, yx pair should be there. If that is the case, it is called symmetric relation. So it is called symmetric relation. Let me give an example. Say A equal to, let us take 1, 2. Only 2 I will take. Now suppose you take R equal to say 1, 2 and 2, 1. Only 2 elements here. Now you can check here, apply this condition. xy 1, 2 is there, interchange it, 2, 1 is there. So it is symmetric. Now let me give another example. Say B equal to 1, 2, 3. Suppose R equal to now 1, 2, 2, 1 and 1, 3. Then it is not symmetric because 1, 2 is there, 2, 1 is there, no problem. But 1, 3 is there, 3, 1 is not there, therefore it is not symmetric. Students, please note, let us not take complicated example in the beginning. First, let us understand what the concept is. Therefore, I am taking only very simple example. Later in the subsequent lectures, we shall take all challenging problems and then decide whether it is reflexive or not, whether it is symmetric or not. Now let me also introduce the next type so that all the three together we can remember. So the third type is transitive relation. So the third one is transitive relation. Transitive relation. So the definition is this. Definition. Starting sentence is actually same. That is a relation or beginning sentence. A relation R in A is transitive. Transitive if xy belongs to R and yz belongs to R implies xz belongs to R. See here, this is if then condition. If this is there, that means two pairs xy and yz pairs are there, then xz pair must be there. Then it is called transitive. So look here, xy, y is the second element of the first ordered pair, y is the first element of the second ordered pair. If these two conditions are satisfied, then what should happen is x and z, it should be there. For example, suppose 1, 2 is there and 2, 5 is there. Suppose these two. Then what should happen is 1, 5 should be there. So that is the meaning. So here, concept is not difficult. It is as simple as the remaining two concepts. But the problem is when the set is very big, you have to search for such pairs. If you make a small mistake, sometimes what happens is it may not be transitive, but we may think that it is transitive. So let me give one or two small examples first. Say A equal to 1, 2, I will take 1, 2 only. So 1, 2, 3 I will take. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Let me take for example 1, 2, then 2, 3 and 1, 3. Now look here. I have taken very small example so that we should be able to apply the definition for the first time. X, Y, Y, Z is there. According to this condition, X, Z must be there. 1, 3 is there. So it is transitive. Suppose you take, say, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. Is it transitive? Don't worry about the remaining. Whenever we talk about transitive, don't have anything about reflexive and symmetric. Forget. You have to concentrate or you have to focus only on this concept. Now, if you take 1, 2 and 2, free, see, you have to search for this type of thing. X, Y, Y, Z. 1, 2, 2, 1. Yes. 1, 2 is there and 2, 1 is there. Then 1, 1 is there. So, first element, last element. Sometimes what happens is students make a hurried conclusion that it is transitive. This is wrong because here there is no condition. XY can be anything, any pair. So I can also take 2, 1 belongs to R and 1, 2 belongs to R. If I take the pair in this order, pairs in this order, see here this is the first element, this is second, both are equal. So this is the third element or fourth element here. So this should be there, 2, 2. But here this does not contain 2, 2. So this is not transitive. So you should be very careful whenever transitive relation is to be checked. So it is not, I don't say it is difficult, but it is challenging because you have to take two pairs, then only you have to correct. Now I will give one question and in the next my lecture I will be discussing whether it is transitive or not. Meanwhile, you think A equal to, say, 1, 1, sorry, A equal to 1, 2, 3. I will take only this much. R equal to 1, 2, only 1. Is it reflexive? No, because 1, 1 is not there today. Is it symmetric? No, 1, 2 is there, 2, 1 is not there. Now my question is R transitive? So please think about this question, and in the next lecture let me start this session with this question only. Till then, bye. Now if you like this video, please share this video with your friends and subscribe this my channel so that we together grow further in learning mathematics. Thank you.